G'day, legends, and welcome to the Thursday Sesh on Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and yes, it is a solo sesh tonight. All the other boys this time of year got some stuff going on, whether it's work, family, whatever. So here I am. It'll be a relatively shorter pod than usual. So thanks for tuning in, and let's make it as interactive as possible in the comments for the show tonight. So if there's any topics you want me to discuss, put it there. Any questions, put them there. We might just do an Ask Me Anything and just see where this ends up. So, yeah, happy days. So we'll start off as usual with the we're going to talk about this morning's game for us over here, last night's game over in Scotland. So Celtic won, Aberdeen 0. So, yeah, it was a bit of a really win game. So the episode's Windswept winners because at the end of the day, like, the way I look at it is, it wasn't a pretty game, wasn't anything special in terms of the quality of football out there, but at the same time, that's the type of result that down the end of the down the end of the season, you look at it and go, all right, the result put us 7 points clear with a game in hand over second place. We've beaten them now at their own place, so it was Celtic going into the game with a perfect 100% winning record on the road. Aberdeen with a 100% winning record at home, so something had to give, and yeah, it fell our way. So happy days. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, I'll just bring up some comments here. So McLaughlin, legend, thanks for tuning in. Andrew, didn't watch the game. Tell us what happened. I'll give you my cliff notes, or what I can make sense of, because yeah, it was the 7 a.m. kickoff here, and yeah, pretty bleary-eyed watching the game. Was half asleep, so should be fun. Robert Gibson saying great goal in some interesting weather. John Clements is saying great result considering that Australian type weather. Celtic beat the weather and the ref who let them away with murder at times. Yeah, so it was pretty average over there. Big Rab saying, hail, mate, early on times for UK. Is this the standard? So Thursdays we go live at 7:30 our time here. So now, and in Mondays it's 8 o'clock. So yeah, this is the standard one for Thursday. So yeah, good fun. Yeah, I have to agree with you, Robert. The Bernardo corner was a goal. Ref's a knob. It was a bit soft. But there was a few other things that we can talk about. So we'll just get into the game, have a quick little chat on that. So starting lineup for us was the questions going in, who was going to start. And I thought Luke McCowan, there we go, got to say it properly, was a bit unlucky to not keep his starting spot after the weekend. So, yeah, it was Casper in goals, Valle, Trusty, Carter Vickers and Johnson across the back. Middle of the park was McGregor, Bernardo and Hatate. And up front was Kyogo with Maeda and Kun on the wings. I think the key thing going into that is, yeah, who was going to come out, who was going to come back in. And, yeah, realistically, Valle, I thought this would have been a great opportunity for him, but I think the wind kind of ruined it, if I'm being honest. Because I was saying on Monday's pod that if we're trying to play with out-and-out wingers and getting out wide and there's none of this inverting, which this Taylor does and he's really well, then we want to get out and play with the ball and get crosses in. That's where it suits with having Valle out there. But the issue I found with him in particular was that he couldn't really get into the game. And Kun was more the same as well in the first half. I think those two in particular were pretty much non-existent because he couldn't really see. They didn't get much of the ball, and then when they did, the ball came to him and the defenders were on top of him. So it was a bit of a tough one for those two, particularly in that first half. Early on, a couple of key points. Nielsen, I think that was his name for them. And who's the idiot again? The idiot captain, you know the one I'm talking about. Shinny. So Shinnie and Nilsson, those two, I was just wondering how long is it going to take for these two to get booked, because they were just absolutely kicking lumps out of us, and it was just a rubbish game, all things considered, for those two. They're just like, if they can't beat us with skill, they're trying to, break our legs. And I think Nielsen got warned about 6 times or 7 times before he actually got a card. Shinnie, not as many warnings, but he's got a reputation. So it was it was just awkward one there. But then on the other side of things, Kyogo absolutely hammered. I had that collision with him and Doohan, the goalkeeper. You've seen that given a red card, and I'm so glad the referee didn't even review it. It was just said, no, it was just contact. They were both going for the ball, play on. So that's the one good thing I'll give the ref for the game. The rest of it, was inconsistent with the cards, inconsistent when looking at what he was calling fouls, what he wasn't calling fouls. It was pretty average. So, yeah, overall, I just thought the first half was much of muchness, really. It was it's pretty average. McLaughlin is saying it was a penalty for us. I don't believe so. I think the keeper came out, he won the ball, and Kyogo, the way I saw it was Kyogo was there a split second late. So I don't think it was a penalty. If that was given against us, I'd be dirty. If that was given against them, yeah, you'd probably celebrate it. But at the same time, I'd if I was one of their fans, I'd be dirty. So I think the call was fine. We'll just go through the rest of what I was going to say for the first half. So, yeah, there was no goals. First half was just awkward. It was just a really awful game. Like, there's times where the ball's going in and it looks like it's going to go long, and then the wind's just pulling it up, or the ball's just like hanging in there. And as John's saying here, if you've ever been to Pataudry, you'll know it's fucking freezing and the wind coming off the North Sea, even in the spring, never mind December. So, yeah, it was a bit of an interesting one. There's a question here from, where was it? Andrew, how'd Hatate play? I didn't think he played that great. I actually openly admit that I said about 10 minutes before he scored the winner, why is he still on? Get him off. So I thought he was average. Big Rab saying a few balls over Vaya's head, same as when Taylor plays. When Hatate is on the left of the midfield, his tracking back hurts the team defensively weak from CCV and AG. That's his overall view there. Pork Chop Express is saying this about the penalty shout or not. It was a 50-50 with the keeper, and he did get a touch on the ball. As for Vaya, why did he get a booking for the guy running into him? Yeah, no, that made no sense. That should have been a foul the other way. And that's why I said the only one thing the ref gets a green light from me on is that no call on the penalty / red card, whatever, with the keeper. But, yeah, Vaya did nothing. He got booked. And he just looked frustrated. Going into halftime, Vaya just looked really frustrated. Was struggling. And, yeah, it was a difficult one. Second half, I think when we started to make a few changes, the game picked up a bit for us. There was a few changes there. I'm just trying to get back to it. So Taylor, I think he came on at half-time, if my memory's right. He came on for Vaya at half-time, that's right. And that shored up the left side of the field a lot better for us, because then that allowed us to invert so they couldn't get on top of us in the middle. And because of the wind, we're able to play to it. So Taylor coming on, good adjustment. I thought he was one of our better players in the second half, and he deserves a start in the next couple of games. The rest of the subs, like Jamesy Forrest came on, did a shift. CCV would have probably been one of my best players in both halves. Austin Trusty, there was a time where a ball came in and he's tried to clear it and it just popped back up and just sat there, and we were just lucky the striker was off balance and couldn't get his foot to it. So he could have had a bit of an interesting one there, but yeah, we got away with that. But overall, there's nothing pretty about the game. That's the easiest way to sum it. Nothing pretty other than our goal. And that ball coming over the top, and the way Hatate cushioned it down off his shoulder, slotted it away. Class finish in those weather conditions. Yeah, pretty much it for me. So yeah, it was bit of an interesting one there. Craigie White is saying, "Yep, that win for me secured the title." I said something similar this morning to my wife. I'm like, "Well, it's early December, and we're 7 points clear. We get the points there. We make up the extra. Like we've got a game in hand that puts us up to 10, and it's early doors in December. How early is this?" So yeah, all things considered, I thought the game was interesting. Few key points. I've touched on it before. Aberdeen's constant fouling. Like I've just had the stats up before. Just bear with me a second. During the game, it looked like they were just kicking lumps out of us, right? And this is something that I wanted to bring up for this reason. I thought the foul count would have been them high, us a lot lower. 12 fouls to Aberdeen, 11 to us, like on us. So realistically, it wasn't as massive a difference. I think it was just how cynical they were when they brought us down and the way they did it. So yeah, it was a bit of an interesting one. We had 10 corners. The delivery from Bernardo from the corners was pretty special in the first half in particular. But the possession, 74% possession at their place. We had 500 more passes. Overall, deserved the win. And we got Daylight, the Sheep, Daylight, the Huns, basically, when you look at the table. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting how open it is at the moment. So, going through the players, Alistair Johnson, didn't really notice him. Not having a crack at him. It's pretty much that way with all of our wingers, whether it was a winger or a wing back or a fullback. Valle didn't really get to do much because the weather restricted him. I didn't notice AJ. Kun didn't really get up to much. Maida didn't really do much, in my opinion. So, yeah, bit of an interesting one there. The centre-back pairing and Kalmack, along with Kasper, good link-up. Good stable platform there, another clean sheet. And then, yeah, through the middle, Hatate, as I said, didn't think he played that well, but yeah. And then we got up front, Kyogo was making runs, wasn't really getting much service. Ida comes on, is just his size, I think, gave us a bit more of a presence up top, and that's how we got there. So 1-0, Celtic win, 7 points clear, job done, happy days. So what I'll do is, if you got any questions or could ask me anything or any topics that you want to get discussed on the podcast, let me know and we'll go through them. So I'm just scrolling through the comments at the moment. There we go. John Clements saying Hatate had a poor first half, but we know he's capable of something to change a game. Opposing supporters moan about Kyogo going down easy. No one mentions the way Giant Duck goes down. Oh yeah, he dived twice in a row and just got waved off both times. Second one should have been a booking if you're going to dive like that. Pathetic. And then Maestro's saying weather conditions impacted the game. Valle shouldn't have been booked when Duck ran into the back of him. McLaughlin saying that's wins at Rugby Park, Tynecastle, but Tawdry in the last 3-4 weeks. We dropped 7 points at those grounds last season. And how much are we ahead by at the moment? 7 points. Perfect. There you go. Says it. There you go. He's like, actually, we dropped 8. Craigie White is not a fan, but fair play to Greg Taylor. Pork Chop Express, you're making a good point here. I think the team showed a better rhythm after Brendan made subs. It was a bit shit before then, but the win made it a crap game. Yep. I think it's 2 games in a row that the subs have changed the game for us, because our last game, so on the weekend, it was the same deal. It was like we were okay, and then we put some subs in, and things changed a bit for us there as well. So Brendan's first stint at the club was always, when he makes his subs, things happen, and the last couple of weeks we're getting back to that. So I said, as my hot take on Monday's pod, the Celtic related one is Brendan's halfway through his contract that he signed when he come back to the club. We need to extend him. I'm really impressed by what I'm seeing, especially with the way his subs fixed the game there. What else have we got here? There we go, Maestro. Bernardo's corners were causing havoc. His delivery in from the corner is just a joy to watch. It's really good to see. Andrew's making a good point here as well. Credit to football supporters in Scotland. Turn out in the shittest weather. Here in Australia, no one turns up when it rains. No one turns up over here when it's above 40 as well. So that's ridiculous. Like, something I said pre-game in our group chat was when they had their full stadium tifo, yeah, there was empty seats, but it was good to see our boys go to an away game and actually have a pretty full stadium. Yeah, it emptied as the game went on because people wanted to get home quicker, but yeah, it was. I was just impressed with the turnout. I know Aberdeen fans are up and about because they haven't been like that, so they haven't been good in a while. So yeah, Jimmy Talline's got them living the dream, and they're showing up. So good on them. Yeah, I'm just scrolling through more of them here. Andrew's saying Brendan will receive attention, especially after have a good run in the Champions League. Yeah, just like our players, I suppose, as well. So, yeah, well, I'm going to go to I've got a sheet on my phone, and it's future podcast topics. So if I'm ever running out, I can just lucky dip something for you. So we've got 37 topics here. So someone pick a random number in the comments, and that's the topic we'll talk about. Maestro's saying, do you think Brendan looked at Ange's game and added the way we play in the second stint? We play better now. We are more solid at the back. I think the combination of Ange ball into Brendan ball, as some people are calling it, was the reason last year was so disjointed. But it's working well. All right, so Robert Gibson goes 173. I don't have that many on the list, so yeah, not going to happen. But we'll go with Pork Chop Express as number 22 as the topic. All right, here we go. Should Celtic prioritise signing players from the Scottish Premiership or abroad? Looks like we're getting into that topic. There you go, and Craigie White, straight off the back of that. Looking forward to the January window. So, the topic is, should Celtic prioritise signings from the Scottish Premiership or abroad? Depends on the purpose. Depends on what we're trying to focus on here. So, are there players within Scotland who are good enough for the Celtic first team? Yes. Are they good enough to start over what we have? Probably not. So, if we're looking for a long-term potential replacement for, say, Callum McGregor, right, or James Forrest, are there players within Scotland who can do that? Yes, there are. So if we were able to get Lennon Miller, sign him, I'm just picking him as a random example, and loaning him back to Motherwell for the rest of the season, so be it. That'd be best for his ability, and then we have the player in the future. But to me, it doesn't matter where they come from as long as they're going to improve our team. And that's what we look like we're getting here in the comments. So Pork Chop Express is saying, if players fit our style, it doesn't matter to me. Andrew is saying, buy the best players available, doesn't matter where they're from. Heavy vibes, the best of home and overseas. And Robert Gibson is buy the best we can from wherever. 100%. So if that's something that we're going to be working on and targeting, then there are players, like case in point, within Scotland, there's players who can make an impact for us. Look at Luke McCowan, okay? He's come in. This is what his second year of top flight football in his career. The majority of it's been elsewhere. So realistically, there's players there. Yeah, he's 26 years old or whatever, so he's a seasoned pro. Maybe we've got to sign a few of them. There's not going to be much resale value, but at the same time, they're going to come in for 3-4 years and do the job. So guys like Luke McCowan, great idea. Guys like Mackenzie up at Aberdeen, I think he's a decent player. Guys like Lennon Miller, there's players there. So they're good enough for us. Now, Craigie White's making a good point. Can we give South America a rest? Yeah, we don't have a good track record there, do we? So Robert Gibson responded to that saying, Alessandro Bernabé sounds like a ball terror when he's actually a midget piss pot with a bad mullet. He's got, Robert, come on, mate. We're talking about South America, not Central America, where your mate Palmer's from. But yeah, it's the end of the day, I agree with what Maestro is saying. Yeah, depends on the quality. If Brendan can work and improve, I'd rather see us getting our own youngsters through a line to quality from anywhere. I think Brendan's the one skill set he's had his whole career as a manager is he's able to develop and mould young players into quality. Case in point, look at Nicholas Kuhn. He's come in, he's got all the pedigree, and now he's over there. It took him 6 months to get ready, do a full preseason, and he's absolutely flying this year. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. So we could do that. Andrew's saying not everyone can handle the Scottish winter and a full-on schedule. That's what I said about Palmer last season. I said he went and hibernated when it got cold. Like, he was good early on for the Champions League, rubbish, and then he finished the season well when it warmed up a little bit. So, yeah, it could be an interesting one. Heavy Vibes is saying, I think we should have a young lad on when we take a 3-0 lead and blood him in. Ideal world, and I've said this before, it's about developing the conveyor belt and the pathway. So ideally what I want to have, and I like what we've got at the moment, we've got Casper in goals, but then we signed Sinisalo to be his long-term, his backup and potentially his replacement. And then we should have a third stringer, shouldn't be Scott Bain, it should be a young guy coming through. So that's how I want to see it. So say if we're looking at the right wing position at the moment, we have Nicholas Kuhn starting. At the moment, his backup is James Forrest. Who's the young winger? Who's third? Who's the third option to come in and challenge it? So, yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one here. So I'm going to do this because it's good fun here. So what do we got? There was a comment here about, I was talking about Lennon Miller before. McLaughlin said, no, don't loan Lennon back to another Scottish club. Every Hun bastard that plays for Dundee, etc. will be out to break his legs if he signs for us. And then McLaughlin's like, we pay $5 million and Billy McGorange breaks his legs because he's a Tim. And then Maestro's like, do you get up and worry about Huns breaking legs? And then we go to this one. Andrew's got a good question here. Who are we going to sell Tilio to? But I do want to see another good Aussie at Celtic. Dream scenario, we stump up the cash. We go and get Geordie Boss at left back, and left back positions locked down for the next 4 or 5 years. Ideal world, right? That'll cover it. Who are we going to sell Tilio to? I don't care, honestly. The guy came back here, said some absolute rubbish about Celtic and Scotland in general. Yet he was never fit when he got to the club. And I want to be back at a proper club like Melbourne City where I'm going to play. You know what, mate? I wore a tiara for you, and you go and do that. Piss off. You're dead to me. Sell him. I don't care who we sell him to. He's not going to make it at Celtic. Wrong attitude. Anyway, let's pick another number, somebody. Let's go. Let's get another topic going. Between 1 and 37, but not 22. Bit of dead air there. All right. I'm going to just go lucky dip here. Should Celtic prioritise signing experienced players or developing young talent? I think that ties into what we were just talking about. So, should we be signing experienced players? Yes. Should we be signing talent? Robert, you said 11. Guess what? That was the one I just did. Nice. So, experienced players or young talent? It's the same thing. It's like, should we be looking at home? Should we be looking overseas? It's the same. It's both. But, okay, if you have a look at Club Brugge, who we just played, they have a 37-year-old goalkeeper, a 31-year-old and a 32-year-old in their team, and then everyone else was 23 and younger. You need to have those veteran players down the spine of your team. So, Brendan's first stint, he brought in, what was his name again? Colo Torre. He brought him in as a veteran. He brought Scott Sinclair in, who'd played a lot. We had the veteran in the middle. So we're fine. There's the talk of Christian Eriksen at Man United coming up the road, the Danish guy. If he wanted to come up and play with us, he's good mates with Casper, that it would be unbelievable. Wages will be the issue there because it's free at the end of the season. But if he wanted to come up and you want to get someone like that, cool. Maybe that's what we need to make that step up. We've got a lot of talented players at that 20, 21 through to, what's Arnie Engels? He's 20. Then you've got Kun's like 24, Bernardo's 23. And then you've got Johnson's like 25 or 26 or whatever. So we've got a lot of players around about that age group where they're about to go into their prime. So it makes perfect sense. Let's bring another experienced player in the middle. Bring another experienced player in at the back if need be. Let's figure it out. That's how we make our next step in Europe. So, but at the same time, if the opportunity comes out to spend 11 million on the next Arnie Engels, who I think is a quality player. I just think he's going to be exactly like Kun. Give him a full preseason under Brendan, and watch him next season. He's just going to go to another level. So I honestly think that is the perfect scenario. If we can find those players and develop them, great. But if we need the senior players, the experienced players to come in and be those mentors and guide those players, then that's what we do. You never have too many leaders in your locker room. Maestro is saying, I've always said we should get an enforcer in midfield. Eriksen is not that. I agree. But the way we played, do we actually play with a big number 6 going out there like a Wanyama type? Brendan doesn't really play that way. I love the idea, and I think, I've said it myself. We need someone like that. But it's I just don't see it happening. Like, I don't think Brendan's the type. We could have got Amadi in the off season, which would have been perfect for that. But interesting. As Andrew's saying here, how good was Moy? It's the last one of those big veterans we got. We had Moy. Before that, we got Joe Hart in. This season, we got Casper in. And then Andrew's saying Eriksen is a 10. We don't play with one. Do we not play with one, or do we not have one at the club, Andrew? That's the question. Because when O'Reilly was at the club, I thought he was more of a 10 than an 8. He could play 8 comfortably, but his natural game was more in the 10. So do we have someone who can actually play in that role? Hatade is probably the closest we have to an actual 10 at the club at the moment, and he's not that great at it. So maybe that's why we're wanting to get Ericsson to come play the 10 role. Remember Rogers' first stint at the club, who played in that 10 for him? The one and only Tom Rogic. That's the luxury player, the luxury car in the middle of the park there. So I'd be all for that. And it's just gonna be an interesting one. So yeah, we'll see how that'll ends up. Big Rab is saying Ericsson isn't coming. He's on 100k plus at Man United. We need number 6, and it's time for Hatade and Kyogo to move on in the summer. We have 5 experienced players that have played at the top of years. Okay, so on that, if Ericsson comes, great. If he doesn't, great. I don't care either way, to be honest with you. Like, he's a good player. Number 6 for Europe, yes, I've said that. But as I just said, depends what the profile of the 6 is. Yeah, so Andrew's got it here for us. We play a 6 and 2 8s. If we play 2 6s, then you play a 10, which is how it was first time around. That's right. So thanks for the reminder there, Andrew. Rogers' first stint, he played 2 6s, which was Calmack and Bruni, and then he had Rogic in front, or Stewie Armstrong in front. So, yeah, good point. So, yeah. Gee, I miss having the other boys on the pod. I can get a drink break. So, yeah. So, are we going to need a 6, a breaker upper, more so at the higher level? Yeah, in Champions League, yes. Yeah, that's what we need to do. That's where we'd need them for. So, yeah, bit of an interesting one. I'd be looking at bringing in experience in the right positions. Now back to that one about from Big Rab saying we need a number 6 and it's time for Hatade and Kyogo to move on. The one big sale we tend to have every year, I think it'll be Hatade this off-season. The rumours were Kyogo to Man City for about 18 million or something like that last off-season. If that offer comes in, I expect the club to take it, particularly if Ange is to get the flick at Spurs like the talk is. But then the talk down here is he'd just probably land up at, if Pep was to move on from Man City, that's where it'd end up anyway because of his tie in with the City group. So if he was to end at Man City, then they'd be tied into Kyogo. Could see it happening, but he's nowhere near Man City class. He'd be back up to Haaland. But yeah, Hatade will be the one to move on. Kyogo, for the right money, I wouldn't be upset, but I still rate him too much. And we've got to get more of this celebration again. Come on, start banging in the goals, mate. All right, so what I'll do is I'll give you some hot takes for fun, and then we'll get into the preview of the Hibs game and call it a night. So, a Celtic-related hot take. Let's see now. We are a better team with Liam Scales and Carter Vickers together for one reason only. When it comes to set pieces, the rest of the time, we are better with a centre-back pairing of Trusty and Carter Vickers. Scottish football-related hot take. Doesn't matter that Aberdeen are struggling at the moment. I don't see the Huns getting ahead of them. Huns getting ahead of them by Christmas. And an anything-related hot take. Public transport on a 30-degree day sucks balls. There you go. So we've got We've got Hibs on Saturday 3 p.m, so it's Sunday 2 a.m. for us. So what's happening on that is the Celtic Supporters podcast is going to be doing a charity weekender for the Kano Foundation. So me, Liam and Shane are going to be jumping on to do the pre-match show there. So keep an eye out for that. We'll share it on our socials. Big Rab, yep, is saying we need a ginger in the side. Scales fits the bill. McLaughlin is saying, do you think we will ring the changes versus Hibs? And then we've got Andrew saying, pity Quan can't play against us. I completely forgot Quan was even there. And then Robert's saying we should play our strongest side against Hibs. So for me, my general thoughts heading into the game, it's all about getting some run into some players' legs, picking up 3 points. That's what it's all about, right? So I'm just having a quick look at our fixture list again. Oh, bloody phone. Just having a look at the upcoming matches, right? So we have Hibs on Saturday, and then we've got Dinamo Zagreb on Tuesday night. So I'm forward planning for that because we've got Hibs, Dinamo Zagreb, and then after that we have the Huns in the League Cup final, right? So of those next 3 games, the 2 most important will be Dinamo Zagreb and then the Cup final. So I'm expecting us to run into guys' legs. I'm wanting us to, we'll probably be rotating the squad. And the key areas for us will be win the middle of the field, keep a clean sheet. The goals will come against them. They leak goals. So, yeah, will we see squad rotation? Absolutely. Who will be the squad rotation? I'm going to look at the comments before I go with what I think the starting lineup will be. So we've got Maestro saying, I think McCowan, Taylor, Scales and Eder come in on Saturday. Correct. Big Rab saying, I want to see Engels and Bernardo together in the middle for the legs in the... I would want to see Engels come in the 6 and start the game. Okay, my list is not going to have Kalmax not starting. Give him a rest so he gets the week off and he's fresh for Zagreb away and then the Huns in the cup final. So, yeah, that's what I'd be doing. McLaughlin saying I'm expecting Ralston to start this weekend. Heavy Vibes are saying 6 changes on Saturday versus Hibs. Rest. McLaughlin's lineup is saying Casper, Ralston, Scales, Trusty, Valle, Bernardo, Engels, McCowan, Forrest, Eder, Yang. I don't think we're going to go that hard with it, but yeah, I'm thinking there will be quite a bit of that lineup there. So I'm going with... Actually, I'll bring up some more. So Big Rab is saying Casper, AJ, Trusty, Scales, Taylor, McCowan, Engels, Bernardo, Maida, Eder, Kun. Andrew is saying Ralston, Scales, CCV, Taylor, Engels, Bernardo, McCowan, Maida, Kyogo, Kun. You're going to be keeping Casper in goals there, Andrew, as well. So for me, it's going to be pretty simple. Across the back, it's going to have Casper in goals. I'd be resting CCV. I'd be having Trusty at right centre back. I'd be having Scales at left centre back. On the right, Ralston. On the left, I don't know who I go with. The game is at home, so I would actually go Valle. And the reason for it is because he had a torrid time midweek on a small pitch with crazy wind. Get him out in the wide open spaces at Celtic Park and just let him build up some of that some self-belief and everything. Middle of the park, Engels in the 6. The 2/8s will be Hatate and Bernardo. Actually, not Hatate. We'll take him out. We'll put McCowan in. And then up front, it'll be Ida. It will be Kun. And it will be Jamesy Forrest. So, that's what I think. And my score prediction. Let us know your score predictions as well in the comments, guys. So, Andrew's saying I'd keep CCV going while he's able to move. I just get him on an early flight down somewhere warm. That's just me. My score prediction against Hibs will be 3-1. And the only reason I'm saying 1 is because I'm half expecting there to be some sort of controversial moment from a referee and VAR and blah, 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 because we haven't had one in a while, so we're due. So Andrew's saying 2-0. Maestro saying Hatate's playing 90 minutes now. Robert Gibson is 3-1. Mickey is saying 3-0. Big Rab is saying Maida and Vaya don't work as both hug the touchline. That's why my lineup, I put Jamesy Forrest on the left along with Vaya behind him. For that exact reason, Rab. So we're on the same page, you and me. We're vibing here. And McLaughlin is saying 4-0. So, I think that's pretty much covered everything for the pod tonight. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate the support for the channel. If you haven't done so and you're watching this on YouTube, you're one of the 45% of people who watch and don't hit the subscribe button on the channel. It costs you nothing to do. It takes about 5 seconds. Go to the channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell so whenever we go live, you get the notice. Tune into the podcast, hit like it. And all our social media is up the top, our Instagram, our Twitter, our YouTube, Facebook. You can find us there. The website's got t-shirts, hoodies, all that as well if you want to support the pod and get some merch. So, appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Hail, hail.